welcome everyone to our annual Judges Night and Awards Dinner. Thank you everybody for being a part of this beautiful evening. And I do have to say we were struggling with the idea of changing our venue. There's some place we had been going to for well over 10 years. And it made sense because we sold out in 2 days, and we had and we didn't want to turn anyone away. So we are feeling very grateful that everyone is able to be in one room all together. I do want to point out one little thing, because this is something that we always hear about Armenian food, and we say all the judges love the Armenian food. The one little thing that you have to know, that there's a variation between our foods. So it depends on which restaurant that you go to, which banquet hall you go to. If the restaurateur is from the Middle East, namely from Lebanon or Syria, the flavor will be slightly different. The menu will be slightly different. But if you are at a venue where the proprietor is from Armenia, he's got some really fantastic meals that he posts. But what we'd like to do, and if we could just get everyone just to quiet down for a couple minutes so we can make some wonderful introductions. And I'm going to start with the members of the Armenian Bar Association, who have traveled quite a ways to be here. And I'm going to start at the south with Judge Michael Poulos, who he says he's half Greek, but we don't really take anything half. We think it's all or nothing, so we take it all. So Judge Poulos came from San Diego. Also at that table is Judge Socrates Manukian, who has been here before, and he has traveled from San Jose. Absolutely grateful to the judges who are here in LA County, who are very active members of the Armenian Bar Association. And I'm going to go through them, and I'd like to ask if you would all stand up at the same time. Judge Sinanian, Judge Amirian, Judge Ashvanian, Judge Tanzarian, Judge Kayosian, Judge Kamalian, and Judge Bulgara. I'm also going to ask the board members of the Armenian Bar Association to please stand and be recognized. Don't be shy. Tigran, I'm calling on you. Mariam, please stand. And if you could just stand for one more second, and let me ask you also to stand, the individuals who are part of the organizing committee. If you would also please stand out and be recognized, because this event happened because of all of you. So thank you all for being a part of this evening. One of the greatest honors is when, for a small community, we are able to garner enough people to elect individuals into office. And we were quite thrilled to be served in the San Fernando Valley area by former Assembly Member Adrian Nazarian. We've had quite a few pro bono programs in his district, and he's made all of that possible for us. Right next door, our neighbor is Glendale, where we probably have the greatest influence. And from Glendale, we have former Mayor Ara Najarian. We are super thrilled to have a very large representation from the alternate public defender's office. at the head of that table is Erica Anzwategi. And I didn't see Ricardo Garcia. I'm not sure if he's here, but he certainly, we were expecting him. The only other group of individuals I'm going to ask to be recognized, because we have such a large representation of them here today, and that is all of our prior honorees. If you could just please stand for a moment and be recognized. And I think what that represents is that we continue to maintain a very strong relationship with those individuals that we honor, and we're very grateful for that. I am now going to invite up my co-chair, Armen Akaragyan. But before I do that, I want to say that his mother is here for the first time. And Armen's mom actually organizes medical missions, and she's been doing that for many, many years to Armenia. And she had no idea that her son did similar things in the legal community. And so I said, you've never been to one of these? And she said, no. So I invited his mother. So I'm going to ask Armen to please come up. Armen Akaragyan.
Good evening, everyone. I knew it would be a challenge when we had 400 people plus in here to make sure I keep everybody's attention. At our last events, we've had about 200 or 220. Now we've doubled it. And the reason that we have the ability to double it is because of our great judiciary in this state. This is their night. We are here to celebrate our judiciary. In preparing for being up here for a good portion of the evening, I tried to look up some interesting things about judges and even came across a joke, which at some point I'll tell. And hopefully it'll be a good one, but I guess we'll see. But there was a real powerful quote that I found that I thought defines how important our judges are. And that was that the strength of our society is based on the quality of judiciary. That through their decisions, judges have an absolute unique ability to foster respect for an entire society. Let's think about that, right? The decisions that our judges are making on a daily basis affect us all. And their decisions are the ones that actually promote our society. But with that great responsibility, which they never talk about, comes a great amount of duty and sometimes heartache. I've had occasion at times to speak with our great judges, including with Judge Sinanian. And I think one of the things that landed on me the most, as he spoke about and other judges have spoken about, is when you're a judge, there's no turning it off. You are always being examined as to what you're doing. You can't go somewhere and say, I'm going to have a few too many tonight, or I'm going to post something on Facebook, or I'm going to say something controversial on social media. So every day we ask our judges, every single day, to exercise forbearance, even under provocation. And I've seen lawyers try to provoke judges. Deal with others with sensitivity and without giving offense, even when others are insensitive or offensive. To exercise legal courage, which is the willingness to do what the law requires them to do, even though the course may not be the most popular. If you think of some of these things, that in our everyday life we don't think about, that they actually have to do this their entire life as a judge. Handle personal stress without unloading it on others. That is such a difficult concept for somebody to grasp. That even if you're having a bad day, even if you didn't sleep well, even if you had a disagreement at home, you have to leave that behind as a judge and not come to work and take it out on others. And make decisions on the fly without even having at times the chance to look to see if the decision is one that is supported by actually the precedent. And so this was a joke that I read that a senior judge, his name is Mel Dickinson out of Minnesota, was telling a new judge who was just being sworn in about, he said, "Hey judge, can you tell me what it's like to be a trial judge?" And the judge said, "Well, let me tell you a joke. It's about three judges in a duck hunt." I said, "Duck hunt? What's this got to do with judging?" "Well, let me explain it to you." He said the three judges are, one is an appellate court justice, one is a Supreme Court justice, and the other is a newly admitted trial court judge. So it's duck season. There's an early morning mist out. And the appellate justice sees a duck approaching. But before taking a shot, the appellate justice says, "I'm going to look in the treatise to see if this is really a duck." So she looks in the treatise, says, "This is a duck," takes a shot. Then he says, then there's a Supreme Court justice. And the Supreme Court justice has said, "I see a duck, I think it's a duck, but I'm not going to shoot until my colleagues agree with me and we confer." So they confer, they come up with the answer, and they come up with a decision. So they make the right decision and they hopefully shoot the duck. Now comes the trial court judge. Says, "I see a bird and I fired. Gosh, I hope that was a duck." So the story being that as a trial judge in trial, and I've been there as a lawyer myself in trial, is you're asked to make these decisions on the fly that at times we wonder, how do you do this? How do you actually come up with a decision so quickly and under such pressure? And it's really all of your patience, your open-mindedness, your courtesy, your tact, your courage, your understanding, your compassion, and your humility for us all. So we have 85 judges here tonight, from San Diego, Santa Clara, Orange County, and right here in Los Angeles. And it's because of your dedication to public service that we're able to make a difference in this room for others. Because your attendance is what brings this crowd here. And it's this crowd that promotes this organization. And through the money that we raise at an event like this, because of the judiciary's presence, we're able to provide back to the community, and we'll see that in the video. So welcome to the evening. We hope you enjoy it. As we've done in the past, I'll try to move it quickly. Just be a little patient because I have a much larger crowd here. But thank you very much, and we all honor you. So we're going to start the program off by asking our chairperson, Talin Sahakian, to come up here and say a few words. Talin flew all the way here from New York. That's where she lives, that's where she practices law, and she concentrates her practice on antitrust litigation and general commercial litigation. She previously served as a co-chair for the New York State Bar Association's Antitrust Section Class Action Committee, and we're honored to have you here. Thank you, Talin. Come on up, please.
Thank you, Armen, for kicking it off. I'm really honored to have this opportunity to welcome all of you to Judges Night on behalf of the board of the Armenian Bar Association. I have a feeling already this is going to be an amazing night. And hopefully you'll build some new connections and you'll make some memories that you'll take with you way past tonight. I have a couple of feelings right now. I'm feeling a little bit amazed at this crowd, to be honest. We had a public servants dinner in New York about a month ago, and there's more people here. So it's amazing. I'm amazed by our esteemed honorees, Judge Bruguera, Judge Williams Court, and Judge Ocampo. You're going to hear about them in a little bit, some more. But I also want to thank our sponsors and everybody who came today. So as Armen mentioned, I traveled from New York today. And I'm kind of a little bit exhausted, but I really had to be here, honestly, because there's a couple of reasons. So the first one is that at the Bar Association, we really support each other. And we're all volunteers. I had to come to support the amazing planning committee that spent so much time organizing this event for you. Every little detail you see around you, where you're seated, what the booklets say, the advertisements, everything takes a lot of time. And so I really needed to come and support our planning committee, especially since a lot of our board members sitting here today actually flew to New York for our public servants dinner about a month ago. So thank you for doing that, and I'm glad to be here to support you guys. The second reason I came here is because I've come to learn that at the Bar Association, we like to do hard things. Like, we don't like to take the easy way out, right? So, well, being Armenian, as a lot of the Armenian people in this room know, it has never really been easy. So why would it be any different for the Bar Association? Our association is not just, networking association that organizes CLEs. It's true that we serve the community through a lot of very important initiatives that you're going to hear about, including our pro bono clinic and mentorship programs and scholarship programs. But all too often, our Bar Association also has to deal with some very difficult things, especially in the last couple of years when our compatriots in Armenia and Artsakh have been under attack and under existential threat, subject to hate crimes and subject to discrimination and human rights abuses. So those are things we take head on and we deal with at the Bar Association, because we don't just do what's easy. And oftentimes those hate crimes have hit home, as you guys know, in this community, where some hate posters appeared only a couple months ago. Well, our Rights Watch committee went into full action and organized a United Against Hate event with 12 other bar associations and with California Attorney General Bonta as a speaker. As we prepare to go to Jerusalem in less than a month for our mid-year meeting, our Armenian community in Jerusalem is under attack, and so are a lot of our institutions there. And so our trip is not just going to be about sightseeing, it's also going to be about finding ways to help the community and serve the community. So we don't do what's easy. Finally, the third reason I really couldn't miss tonight is because I was asked to do something very special, and this is not in the official program, so it's a surprise. I was asked to kick off the awards with an honor for a very special person, our immediate past chairwoman, Lucy Varbedian. So, honoring the past chairwoman or chairperson is a tradition we've had every year, but because of the pandemic, things got a little bit thrown off. So here we are. So, growing up with parents, Armenian parents from Greece, I picked up a couple of Greek proverbs, and Judge Poulos is going to tell me if I mispronounce this. The one that reminds me of Lucy is the following. O kalos o kapetanios sti fortuna fenete. That's good. English translation, a good captain proves themselves in a storm. You can see who a good captain is only when the sea is rough. Well, Lucy became chairwoman of the bar in the middle of a global pandemic and about a month before a devastating aggression on the Armenians of Artsakh in 2020, which became known as the 44-day war. She was essential to so many of the bar's activities and committees before the war, having been involved in the bar for decades in various capacities. But in that firestorm, she didn't despair. She galvanized volunteers and helped channel the energy of the members of the bar into countless projects related to the war and its aftermath. She is the most dedicated and devoted person I know to the bar. She works with her full heart always. She is available, committed, empathetic, organized, determined, always focused on the mission at hand. I'm not sure where she gets her energy, to be honest. She is in many ways the embodiment of the bar, and you need to look no further than her Zoom picture, which is the bar logo. Anyone who's been on a Zoom with her knows that. And I'm sure many of you have been on Zooms with her. So it's my great honor to present her with our past chairperson plaque. And I could spend a lot of time talking about her, but I'm going to read the tribute that's on the plaque, which was beautifully written by another past chair and board member, Armen Hovannesyan, which summarizes things perfectly. It says, in the words of the great English bard, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. And so it is with you, the name one may give you matters as little as you mean much. You became our chairperson when the Armenian world had just gone dark, when everything was about to and did go so terribly wrong. Our sacred homeland under siege, our ancient culture and religion in the crosshairs, our boys and our bloodlines falling at the slaughterhouse of inequity. And yet you lifted hundreds of us out of the depths of despair, less with your language alone, more with your unsung labors of love, unity, and necessity, embodying the eternal blessings of our profession and indeed of this sweet land of liberty, those of civility and courage, endurance and empathy, and of right over wrong. You pulled us from the front, you pushed us from the back, and you flourished where you feel most comfortable and are always welcome, in the middle and at the heart of all of us. In Armenian folkloric tradition, 3 apples fell from heaven, one for the storyteller, one for the listener, and with this recognition, one for the destiny that brought Lucy Varbedian to the Armenian Bar Association.
I think this definitely messes up Armen's timeline. I just want to say thank you, and I wish that I'd known, because then my family would be here. But the one thing I could say is that when my family moved from Armenia to the United States, I was 9 years old, and the biggest challenge that my dad faced was a 9-year-old would forget her Armenian language. She would forget to read and write, and that was the most important thing for him. And so when I became involved with the Armenian Bar, he was so absolutely proud and very supportive. He immediately became the admin assistant. He would send, mail things for me. He would put labels on envelopes. And so my dad passed 20 years ago this year, and I'm certain he is here tonight. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this great organization. What I was going to do today now is introduce Judge Jessner to say a few words. And the one thing I want to say, I was thinking about what would I say to a room full of people who know her far better than I ever will. I'm a transactional lawyer. I've never appeared before her. But what I do want to say is that the policies, the programs that you institute make their way over to us. They come to us through the judges, and I'll speak to one program specifically, and that had to do with the neighborhood judging, where Judge Jessner was encouraging more of the judiciary to take part in community events and activities. And I saw that, and I thought, our judges have been participating in community activities since their beginnings, not since our beginning, but since their beginning. And so much of that has to do with what the theme is for this evening, and it has to do with access for justice. And I know that that's something that's been important to Judge Jessner, not just this year, but in the past as well. And when you're an ethnic or a minority bar association, access to justice means something more than just educating your community to understand their rights. For an ethnic bar association, for our community, access also comes in other ways, like judges opening up their chambers to high school students and middle school students and letting them come through and tour, making calls to the DA's office, the public defender's office, and the APD's office and saying, give these students a tour. Talk to them about your practice and what it is that you do. It means that on a Saturday, we get a judge who takes his fresh, clean robe still on the hanger and comes to a musky moot court room and presides over the Constitutional Rights Foundation trial programs. For us, it means our judges who take on externs, who teach courses on how to be better writers, who take the time to meet one-on-one with lawyers aspiring to be judges. That's what our judges do. And our judges do that not just for the Armenian Bar Association, but they are in the community. They are both there when they are invited to formal events, and they are there when they are attending town hall meetings. They MC galas for the museum. They attend church functions. They do TV programs to talk about individual rights in Armenian so the community can be better educated. So those things that are important for you, Judge Jessner, are important for the Armenian Bar Association. And we are grateful that you could be here tonight and to address our group. Thank you.
I want to thank the Armenian Bar Association for inviting me to make what I promise you will be brief remarks. As many of you know, I often describe this event as the best bar event of the season. And let me be clear, there are a lot of bar events, so that's quite a statement. It's not just because of the food, and that may come as a surprise to some of you, given that if you know me, you know I have great appreciation for good food. But what it's really about is the vibe, for lack of a more sort of jurisprudential term. It's about the camaraderie, and it's about the energy of this room. So we're usually sitting cheek to jowl at the Phoenician. And I commend the Armenian Bar Association for having the good sense and wisdom to move the event to a larger space this year. So, and a beautiful room at that. Despite the larger space, I think that we can all agree that we still feel that palpable power of a group coming together to share in an evening of good cheer, especially after several years of not being able to easily and safely gather in large groups. So it feels good to be here, and I commend the Bar Association for that. So if there are some of you in this room that have been on the speaking circuit with me, so I apologize in advance if I sound like a broken record. But you've heard me talk recently about the importance of bar associations. But I think, notwithstanding that I talked about this last week and the week before and the week before that, I think it's important to recognize how crucial bar associations and organizations like the Armenian Bar are to the legal community, to civility, and to ensuring that the judicial branch remains independent and can accomplish its mission to provide equal access to justice. So I was raised by a parent who was deeply involved in bar activities. Some of you know my mother, Patricia Phillips. She practiced law in Los Angeles for more than 50 years. In fact, if you talk to her, she still thinks she's practicing law. So don't tell her I talked about her in the past tense. So she instilled in me the importance of getting involved in bar activities. In my household, there was a lot of talk about the bar this, I'm a bar junkie, bar associations. And once I figured out that she wasn't talking about a bar where she would order her signature gin and tonic, I noticed this about her. Her involvement in bar activities and, generally speaking, the legal profession, in addition to her practice, imbued in her happiness, satisfaction, and I could see that she was challenged as a result of her dedication to the Los Angeles County Bar Association as well as the Los Angeles legal community. For those of you who don't know, she rose to become the first woman president of the Los Angeles County Bar Association. So she's a tough act to follow in many ways, but I finally heeded her advice to get involved in bar activities and quickly found that regardless of the work of a particular committee, and Nicole Bershon is here, boy did we work on some committees in our day that met at 7 o'clock in the morning. The experiences that those opportunities provided me really had to do with the opportunity to connect with a whole host of people that I would have never otherwise met and had the pleasure and honor to work with if I had not gotten involved in the Los Angeles County Bar and the work of the bar. So my regard and respect for bar associations like this one has only increased throughout my legal career, especially in my role as a judge and specifically as a presiding judge. I want to underscore the important role that bar associations like the Armenian Bar Association serve. You're devoted to public service, which we heard Lucy talk about a little bit. You're devoted to mentoring. You're devoted to providing scholarship opportunities. And you're dedicated to creating an arena for lawyers of Armenian heritage to come together socially and professionally and to address the concerns of the Armenian community. In addition, you provide a communal, warm, and supportive environment in which you are focused on the notion of what it means to be of service in the legal profession and the practice of law, as well as a focus on global legal issues. Many of us will agree that there is now a generation of young people, including lawyers, who do not recognize the value of connecting in person regularly in an atmosphere that fosters collegiality. They'd rather text, they'd rather post it, they'd rather put it in an email. But the Armenian Bar Association has and will no doubt continue to be an organization that recognizes the importance of opportunities like this that foster civility, collegiality, and an emphasis on coming together to develop a more inclusive legal profession for our next generation of attorneys who will want, because of the feeling here in this room, to become involved in this bar association and others like it. So I commend you for continuing under very challenging circumstances over the last couple of years to prioritize these opportunities. So you knew, I told you I wasn't going to play you sort of the sound of an earthquake, but I will not leave the stage without talking about our court reporter crisis, and I'll make it short. So I have described this crisis, and I do not believe this is a over-dramatization or an exaggeration. I have described it, many of us have described it as a constitutional crisis in California, which is a result of a chronic court reporter shortage. I'm standing in front of 3 or 4 flags. I'm not going to wrap myself in the flags like I usually do. But I will say this, because of the shortage, we very much have a real access to justice issue, at least if all of us as a community are at all devoted to or dedicated to ensuring equal access to justice. Because of a shortage in court reporters, we now have a situation where those with resources who can find a court reporter can retain the services of a court reporter, bring the court reporter to court, and walk away with a verbatim record of those proceedings. Those are the people with the money. There's a vast population of people that we on the court serve that cannot afford that same access. They cannot afford to retain the services of a court reporter so that they also have a verbatim record of the proceedings. And as all of you know, because you all practice in our courts, this has already impacted family law, probate, and unlimited civil. And for those of you who are not listening, you're probably sitting in felony courts. This will come to you next year if we do not unite and try to do something about this. So what does this have to do with all of you? And perhaps the better question is, how does it relate to a bar association event? And I want to bring this to your attention because I'm still sort of amazed by it. A couple of weeks ago, over 30 bar associations signed on to a letter authored by the LA County Bar President, which advocated in favor of the passage of a bill that would expand the court's authority to use electronic recording in our disciplines where we no longer can provide court reporters. It's called SB 662. And I want to say this, among those 30 plus bar associations was the Armenian Bar Association, who signed on to that letter. From the perspective of a court leader, and I am not alone in terms of court leaders being in this room, all of these bar associations coming together to advocate for meaningful access to justice and a willingness to stand up and fight for a law that would ensure protection of the most basic notions of what the Constitution means was incredibly powerful. And I can only express my gratitude for your dedication to what is really our collective mission as a legal community, which is to support each other in our efforts to provide access to justice. We're going to need to continue to rely on that community because this has turned into a pitched battle in Sacramento. The bill, unfortunately, did not make it out of appropriations and now has turned into a 2-year bill. So the fight will continue, and we look forward to working together to make a difference with regard to that notion of what it means to have access to justice. Let me talk quickly about our honorees. Some of you are going, thank goodness she's going to stop talking about court reporters. So a quick word. It gives me an unending amount of joy to see leaders of our court honored. You have chosen 2 supervising judges to recognize this evening, Judge Michelle Williams Court, the supervising judge of the Civil Division, and Judge Rick Ocampo, the supervising judge of the Criminal Division. There really is no way to easily or quickly convey to the audience how much or to what extent that Assistant Presiding Judge Sergio Tapia and I rely on Judges Court and Ocampo in running the largest court in the country, some say the world. Our reliance on them goes beyond an expectation that they smoothly and effectively run the 2 largest divisions of the court. We rely on them for advice. We rely on them to effectively communicate our collective message. We rely on them to issue spot and bring problems to our attention, but beyond that, we expect them to come to us with solutions rather than simply carrying a message. We rely on them to be open and honest, which often requires some difficult conversations. Finally, we expect them to be courageous in the way they lead, the way they communicate, and the way they model what great leadership looks like. Let me say, with no equivocation whatsoever, Judge Court and Judge Ocampo are superb in those leadership roles. They, hands down, are not only meeting all of those expectations that I just listed, they are exceeding them. It is truly an honor and privilege to be able to work with them and include them on our leadership team. Congratulations to both Judge Court and Judge Ocampo for this well-deserved recognition, and congratulations to the Armenian Bar for your inspired choices. And I am not going to leave this stage without talking about Judge Suzanne Bruguera. So this quick anecdote requires a bit of setup. So a group of judges in mosque used to take a yoga class at lunch. So a yoga instructor would come to the courthouse and put us through a rather punishing round of salutations or some such thing. Suzanne and I were among the judges who attended, admittedly not on a regular basis. I'm speaking for both of us. I was new to mosque at the time, and I was new to the Civil Division. And honestly, I spent the first 6 months or so in mosque feeling intimidated by the other judges, the attorneys, and just the whole sort of, activity of mosque. So during one of our sessions, as I recall it, we were lying on the floor looking up at the ceiling. I'm sure there's some yoga phrase for what we were doing. You can tell I did not take to yoga. Suzanne turned to me and told me in no uncertain terms that she had watched me and listened to me as I had discussed upcoming technology innovation with our colleagues at a civil judges meeting. By the way, not often a very welcome topic. And I was probably talking about something as simple as moving from GroupWise to Outlook, which was like the subject of outrage at the time. And she felt sure, she said to me, that I would one day be the presiding judge of the court. So I, of course, thought she was crazy. And I figured that the exercise had affected her brain function or something. Not enough air during the salutations. But I will say this. I never forgot what she said, and she said it to me several times after that over the years. Not because I thought I could, or frankly should, one day become the presiding judge, but because I was so touched by her support, her warmth, and her strength. Suzanne, thank you. You empowered me to believe that I could lead this court. We should all be so lucky to have supporters, especially women, to lift us up, even if it was just off the floor, as we endeavor to advance in our careers and take on roles and responsibilities that are oftentimes scary, met with opposition, and seemingly unattainable. Congratulations to you on a well-deserved recognition. You'll be happy I'm gonna end, but I'm gonna end how I always end, which is to recognize the judges of this court that do the real work. That is not me. That is this group of judges, the 85 judges that are here, in addition to all of the other judicial officers on our court who work diligently and tirelessly every day to meet the mission of the court. It is an honor and a privilege to represent you. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you so much for that, Judge Jessner. Judge Jessner has been a big supporter and friend of the Armenian bar for many, many years. And now for the judges and everybody else that she was complimenting, how do we get them a raise? Anyhow, we have a video that's been prepared also that goes with the theme of the evening. It was prepared by Motion Lit, that they've done in the years past. Provide some insight into the organization and how we hoped that the organization can help with access to justice. So with that being said, we'll start the video.
For 34 years, the Armenian Bar Association has carried out its prolific goals of developing professional growth, community advancement, and sharing their legal expertise and exchanging that knowledge across the country and internationally.
The Armenian Bar Association was founded by Rafi Hovhannisyan, and I was one of the founding members of the association. And the goal was to advance the rights and interests of Armenians throughout the United States. It was important to have legal representation for the Armenian community.
We do pro bono clinics, we do CLEs, we do social events, but we also do a lot of advocacy in connection with issues that affect the Armenian community, whether that's in Armenia, in Artsakh, or in the United States.
Over 3 decades, the ABA has accomplished its action to bring professionals together to learn and assist those in need. In the wake of the aggression on Artsakh, the bar has stepped up to fight for the recognition of sovereignty with the Artsakh Initiative.
One of the areas where the Armenian bar has had a focus and a goal is to provide a voice for the voiceless people of the indigenous population of Artsakh. We recognized that as lawyers, one of the primary things that we could do was to collect evidence, maintain evidence, create that record of the aggression that was happening against Artsakh.
We also have a relationship with the Artsakh State University where we help fund a pro bono clinic run by professors and staff at the Artsakh State University. And the students actually learn how to provide services to the community.
One of the most recent ways that I was able to contribute to other Armenians outside of America was coordinated with our former LLM student who comes from Artsakh to do a session at the Artsakh State University Law School. It was all because the donations made it possible for him to come to America, receive an American education, a master's in law at Southwestern, then return to Artsakh and be able to educate others.
The Armenian Bar Association created a pro bono committee, rental issues, how to deal with everyday voting issues. Second issue was also to provide them access to legal representation.
I would say the work that I'm most proud of was when we first established the pro bono clinic. Our pro bono clinic is made possible through the generous donations of our sponsors. Most of the work is done through our volunteer lawyers. We're so proud to see it grow.
The Armenian Bar Association recognizes its community leaders, donors, and members for their commitment to providing access to justice by helping underserved communities and making a difference in the courtroom and in the world.
Believe it or not, that video was started, I think, 5 days ago. The Emotion Lit team very quickly put that together for us, so thank you so much. But it goes with what I started with initially, is it's because all of your presence here that we're able to have these pro bono clinics, that we're able to actually have people try to make a change throughout the world, and including in Artsakh. And if it wasn't for all of you attending here, especially the judges, who are here and the crowd is here to respect them, we would not have this opportunity. So I'd like all our members of the bar to stand, and any retired members, because they really reserve and deserve a round of applause here. So please stand up. I know we have more than that. I want everybody, all the judges, all the retired judges, stand up. Yes. I know we have more than that. Don't be shy. Don't be bashful. Thank you. Thank you again. So now we're going to turn, and I hope the food's been satisfactory so far. I think there's more coming. All right, good. Because I know Judge Jester next year will have to be sending the email for us out again, and if we don't keep her happy with the food, who knows what that email will say. So anyhow, we're going to turn to the award presentation portion of the evening now. And the first person I'm going to introduce that's going to present Judge Bruguera with her award is Garo Martirosyan. In my mind, and of course I'm biased, Garo Martirosyan is the best plaintiff's personal injury lawyer to ever walk this planet. Of course, I've worked for him for 24 years, so you know, who knows. Garo was the first Armenian to ever win the Kala Trial Lawyer of the Year award. There's only been 2 other Armenians since that have won it. He has been the only president to this day of Kala, the largest plaintiffs' organization. Garo has had a busy practice since 1981, and he's represented thousands of people and had very, very large verdicts in nearly impossible cases. I think when Garo decides to hang it up or leave this profession, there's going to be a big hole in the profession itself. And hopefully he won't hang it up soon. Anyway, without further ado, I'd like to have Garo come to the stage so he can introduce Judge Bruguera.
Oh, you want me to go all the way around? I can jump up. Hello, good evening, and Kishar Pari Aminut. Yeah, I had to walk by Judge Hammock, of course. It was not easy. And again, let me say hello again to Jessica Kronstadt, who's going to be a new judge. It was wonderful seeing her. I've known her ever since she was in high school. And I see so many friends here. I feel like I'm at home, and so many Armenian friends here. So I'm going to be talking to you folks about Judge Bruguera. I gave her a call a couple of days ago. I was in Punta Mita with my wife and little girl and a couple of other families. And I figured I'd give her a call and find out a little bit about her. I knew a lot about her. I've had her in a couple of cases. I've even worked with her as a mediator. She's wonderful, just wonderful. As I heard Judge Jessner talk about her, I thought about what others have said about her. That she's like everybody's mother. You go to her court, she wants to mother you. She wants to help you. She's compassionate. She loves everybody around her. So I also heard about her dad. And when I called her a couple of days ago, I said, look, I'm going to be speaking about you. What can you tell me about your background? She goes, are we doing this on May 30th? I go, yeah, May 30th, just coming up. That's my dad's birthday. I go, your dad's birthday? Yeah. Where does he live? What does he do? Emil, I go, yeah, but what's up with him? Is he going to come? No, he's not very ambulatory, so I don't think he's going to be able to make it. And he said, you go. I have two beautiful girls taking care of me. I'm okay. And he lives right around the corner in Armeniaville. He was born in 1925. He's 98 years old today. All right, so how does he raise children and a child that becomes a Supreme Court judge? It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because of what we went through as Armenians. And as I spoke with her, I realized we do have a common heritage. We do share a lot of atrocities, a lot of difficulties, but we've come around. And we're doing well here because we're now in the land of opportunity where everybody gets a fair shake. But what happened to her? What happened to her family? Her grandfather left town for just a couple of weeks to do some business. This is right around 1915, right at the start of the Armenian genocide. He comes home to greet his family. They're not there. They're gone. All the Armenians in town have been driven away. They've been sent on a death march through Deir Zor, through the desert, and very few of them survived. My grandparents survived, hers did, and that's why we're here. We're all survivors of the genocide. We are heirs of those. And those people worked hard, the ones that did survive. We took refuge there. Our grandparents took refuge in the Middle East. Luckily, there were some countries that did give us refuge, like in her family situation in Tehran, Iran, where she lived in the Armenian ghetto there, where her family lived there. And my family went to Aleppo, Syria. And that's where my parents met, and here I am. And then I talked about her, a little bit more about her, and I found out that, her dad was an auto mechanic, specializing on German vehicles. My dad was an auto mechanic, working on German vehicles. And then I asked her, well, how'd you guys get over here? She goes, well, they worked real hard to get us to America because they knew where we were in the Middle East. We're not going to get the kind of freedom and the kind of opportunities that we can get elsewhere. They heard about America, and they worked really hard to come to America. And in the mid-'60s, same as my family, mid-'60s, our families came to America. Both of our families landed in the Fairfax district. My father ran a gas station, a mobile gas station, where I pumped gas from the time I was 13 until law school. And I bet I pumped gas to her family's vehicles because they lived on Hayworth. I was right across from Canners. They were right above the street from Canners. And so here we are now, a lawyer and a wonderful judge who has served 27 years as a public servant. And how did she get there? One day when she was in the Attorney General's office, she met a gentleman that came through, found out it was Armenian Arabian, the late Supreme Court Justice, California Supreme Court, and spoke to her and said, you're doing great here, but why don't you think about maybe becoming a judge? Because really, you think I have those kinds of qualities? Absolutely you do. Encourage her to become a judge, and here she is, a judge. And when you think about what we went through in terms of people that we have now, look, this room is full of Armenian judges, Armenian lawyers, and many of you can relate to our history. And all of us here have come from somewhere else. Very few American Indians in here. And so we all owe a debt of gratitude to our forefathers and to the judges in this room that keep this nation great. And thank you all so very much for being here. You know, again, with Jessica Kronstadt, I've mentioned her name only because I know her mom, her dad, and I say, look, people like her that could rise in this system, people like Judge Bruguera that could rise in this system. And everybody knew Judge Bruguera as their mom. Nobody left her courtroom without knowing that they got a fair shot, that they told their story and they got a decision. And Judge Bruguera comes with her own family here. Her mom, her dad, not here, but he's here in spirit. He's here because he couldn't come here, otherwise he would be here. Her 2 daughters, and of course Paul, her husband, who is a commissioner presiding in Norwalk and soon to become a judge. Thank you so very much for allowing me to introduce you, Judge Bruguera. Thank you so very much. Armenian got this mic so high up. I don't know where I got to get this height from.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so very much. You have no idea how important this is and how much this means to me. To have all of you here. It's true, Garo, I do feel like I know everyone. I thank each and every one of you for being here. Garo, thank you so much for that introduction and for taking so much time to get to know my family and my life. You are one of the best lawyers, trial lawyers on the planet, not just in California or here. You really are, and I can speak from experience. And Judge Jessner, thank you again for remembering our time together. I knew you were going to be a presiding judge one day, and here you are. So thank you. I'm very moved. I really am. So my father, he has problems with his memory, but he does know that I have a position that he's proud of, because when we visit, he often says over and over, "What is your job, Susie?" And I tell him about being a judge, and you can see that joy when he remembers that his daughter was a judge. We did grow up in a 2-bedroom apartment on Hayworth, where my parents gave my brother a bedroom and me a bedroom, and they slept in the living room. And they were so grateful for this country. And I often heard my parents say, "God bless America," constantly. We'd be in a supermarket, and my mother would pick up some meat or something, and she'd say, "Clean meat, God bless America, Susie." And no matter what, no matter where we were, so grateful. And of course, I continue to be grateful, as does my family. Of course, being a judge is just an amazing job to serve. I served with the best judges. It's not LA Superior isn't just the biggest judge in the world, the biggest court in the world. It is the best court in the world, with handling such important cases that, and they do such a great job. It's such an honor to have served on that court. And I didn't get there like all of us. We all had mentors, and I certainly had mentors. I'm on the shoulder of giants, and so many people helped me get to my position, as Garo was saying. And I have I am so honored that even though I've retired, this bar that is so special to me has honored me. In your program, you will see that a picture that is from 1990. It is the first Armenian Bar Association conference, and we're all sitting there. It's true that Justice Arabian suggested that I apply for the bench, and so did Bob Philibosian, who I served with as a district attorney. And when I became a judge, Bob Philibosian was the first to call me and congratulate me. And I want to thank him today for helping me and for changing my life and allowing me to be a judge, or helping me to become a judge. So the association has been around for almost 35 years, and it's been done amazing things, including supporting democratic institutions in the new country of Armenia. And it has done, the people are, I'm always amazed at how dedicated the board members and the members of the Armenian Bar are. I want to thank you. I want to thank the board. I want to thank Armen Hovanesian, who always teaches me something at board meetings and whenever we are anywhere together. I want to thank Gerald Kasabian for all of his support throughout the years, and of course Lucy Varpatian, who takes care of everything. She's been so dedicated to the bar for so long. And Shant Vaskiteshian has also helped with tonight's program and has really helps the organization. I'm grateful that my group here, as you know, I'm retired and I'm with ADR Services. I'm grateful that I have a lot of support here and with ADR Services. Thank you so much for being here to support me. So, many of you have seen me in Department 71 of the Stanley Moss Courthouse. I love that courthouse, and I'm sorry that it needs to be replaced. It's a beautiful courthouse, and I know Dan Crowley now is in Department 71, and I'm so glad that he's there. Thank you, Dan. But one of the most lucky day in Department 71 was having Judge Ruth Kwan move in to Department 72. And it's been over a decade that I've known her. I want to thank her for all of the lessons she's taught me and her friendship. She's here with her family. And of course, I want to thank my children, my adult children, my daughter Jennifer and my son Sam, and their partner Callie. And they're here, and I appreciate all that they've done for me. So, and of course, my husband Paul. I met Paul we've been married 40 years because and I don't think it's in the Armenian culture to thank your spouse, but I will anyway. But we met because we were in law school together, and he had heard that I liked peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And one day I was in class, and it turned out that while the professor turned around, he threw a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at me. And so from then I realized that he was the one for me. So thank you so much. I want to thank each and every single one of you for being here, for supporting the Armenian Bar, and for allowing me to be one of you. Thank you so much.
I have the privilege of introducing our next honoree, Judge Michelle Williams Court. I had the pleasure of meeting Judge Court, not formally, just because I appeared in her court. I believe it was probably 2011 or 2012. And I think at that time she was just appointed to the bench, or she was just appointed to the bench. And I remember thinking at that time I was only a 5-year lawyer. And I was always still intimidated by the process of showing up in court because I wasn't sure who was going to look at me as a judge and say, "What are you doing here? Are you sure you're old enough to have a law license?" And Judge Court, it just stood out to me. She was the nicest judge I'd ever been in front of so far by that point. She greeted all the lawyers, everybody in her courtroom like she knew them for years, and made the process so comfortable for those of us that were still trying to get used to this totally different pool or this different sea of how to practice law. So when I saw that we're honoring her tonight, I was more than thrilled to be able to introduce her to all of you. Just think about that. In only 12 years on the bench, she is the supervising judge of civil. And as Judge Jester said, probably the largest civil court system in the world. 12 years, ladies and gentlemen. And not just there. She serves on the California Supreme Court Committee on Judicial Ethic Opinions. And you know those TVs and those overhead projectors in the courtrooms? Guess who made that happen? Judge Court is the chair of the Technology Committee for the LA Superior Court. And I can tell you, Judge Court, from a lawyer's perspective, it has made our job so much easier to not have to worry about lugging in those big Elmos or those overhead projectors or those big screens, or worrying about how much time is the judge going to give us to set everything up, because usually it's you get 15 minutes. So I can't tell you how much time and how much angst it has saved us as attorneys to be able to show up to a courtroom and know that the technology is there. And just think about it. That's what kept the court system going during COVID. If it wasn't for the technology in the courtroom, that would have never happened. Judge Court wrote a very interesting article about 7 years ago, when technology was something that was not even, I guess, a thought, or it was not something that was in the forefront. It was get online, not in line. And now look, and she co-authored that with Judge Jester, by the way. And now look where the court is at. It's because of people like her who dedicate themselves to this process and to the court system that makes all of our jobs look easier, especially as attorneys. And for that, Judge Court, for your service, we honor you tonight. I know you're here with your wonderful husband, Jamie, and you and I had the opportunity at the LA County Bar Association Bench Meets Bar luncheon to speak about your two wonderful children also. I know at that point you were recovering from a small injury. I'm glad to see you're better now. And so if you'd please come to the stage to accept your award, we'd truly appreciate it. Judge Court, the Armenian Bar Association, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night and Awards Dinner, proudly recognize you, Supervising Judge, Civil Division, California Superior Court, Los Angeles County, in recognition of your outstanding leadership and abiding devotion to the legal profession, bar, and bench, given this May 30, 2023.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for those kind words. And I am very much aware that we all got a delivery of delicious kebab a few minutes ago. So I will try not to take up too much of your time that you have to enjoy this wonderful meal. Again, Armin, thank you so much for the kind words. That it's really touching to know that you remember me like I remember you. It's truly special to me, so thank you. And I also want to say congratulations to Judges Ocampo and Bruguera on receiving your awards tonight. In these times, indeed throughout time, community has been the key to human resilience, and I am very grateful for this community. I sometimes say that the Los Angeles community is it's a small town, either depending on what kind of a mood I'm in, it's a small town disguised as a big city, or sometimes I say a small town masquerading as a big city. But events like tonight really remind me of why I think that is true. It's because we have so many interconnected communities, smaller communities that are connected to other small communities that are connected to other large communities of people who are like-minded and have as a core principle access to justice and equal access to justice for everyone. Judges Jessner and Tapia lead our court, employing principles of transparency and really good decision-making, bold decision-making at times, because these are very difficult times that we do live in. And they use their years of experience as attorneys and years of experience as judges on our court in this community, which is a community that's steeped in firmly established cultural norms and historical practices that can sometimes be very difficult to get those cultures and norms and practices to bend to the needs of the time. And it's so important now, I think, at least in my generation, in my lifetime, I can't remember a time where it was more important that we have leadership that is creative and bold and not afraid to have the difficult conversations, as Judge Jessner referred to earlier. It's imperative in order to meet the needs of our time. Judge Ocampo, all of the other judges in leadership, and I are committed to working arm in arm together in assisting Judges Jessner and Tapia in realizing their vision for a modern court. All of the judges of our court are dedicated to providing equal access to justice and being active members of our community, as evidenced by the number of judges that we have participating in this dinner tonight. The lawyers and legal professionals here this evening work very hard every day representing clients and playing a critical role in our community's quest for access to justice. This Bar Association serves as a convener to bring like-minded professionals from all walks of life together, as evidenced by the diversity of people sitting in this room. And when I was listening to everyone who's made remarks before me this evening, when I was at home thinking about what I was going to say, I thought, I'm not really sure what I'm going to say. Is what I'm going to say going to fit in with what others are going to say? And there is a theme like no other theme that is emerging in this program, and I can tell you that I didn't talk to any of the other speakers, but I don't think there's a single speaker who has not referred to community, has not referred to access to justice, has not referred to public service and commitment to community. And I think that really, really speaks to what the Armenian Bar Association is all about. Throughout history, groups of people have been treated differently because they have been perceived to be the other. Society's most trying times have been characterized by mistrust, miscommunication, blame, and disassociation. But I know I don't need to tell a single person in the room about that fact. That is the fact of our history, and it's something that I think brings a lot of us to the legal profession to try to work against that tide, to make sure that things like that don't happen again, or at least do our part to prevent things like that from happening again. As a member of this community, you know the significance of demonstrating the importance of community as we walk through the world. Especially when they expand, communities can be and have been the key to ending atrocities throughout time. What we do and how we do it is important. It has consequences. The Armenian Bar Association is a community in which attorneys with different backgrounds and at different stages of their careers share expertise and insight. That commitment to inclusion is important. It impacts everyone. When we're inclusive, we broaden our understanding of experience and the universe of information that we have in the interest of the greater good. And perhaps equally as important, we model goodwill and encourage inclusivity in others. And as a result, we're better able and better prepared to handle the challenges that present themselves to us in the future. As Judge Jessner described earlier in her remarks, the partnership between the bench and the bar is invaluable. Many of the people in this room support the work of the court and the profession through legislative advocacy, pro bono representation, volunteer mediation, mentorship, and continuing education. The work that all of us do together serves the public interest, and it, I dare say, is the cornerstone of civil society. Without it, and I think we can all agree on this, without it, the structures supporting democracy weaken. The work that we all do together fuels our journey forward into the future. To me, this award signifies gratitude to all of the judges of our court for the work that we do every day. Bench and bar partnerships are critical to the effective administration of justice and the integrity of the judicial branch. And I say that, and I think that when I say that, it's going to resonate with the judges a little bit more than it might resonate with the attorneys. And I think as the attorneys looking in, you understand that we are living through a time of a need to speak truth about the fact that the branch is a co-equal branch of government. And when I think of the branch, I think of all of us. In closing, I wanted to say that it is an honor, an absolute honor to be part of this community, and I'm truly grateful for being here tonight and for receiving this award. Thank you so much for the honor and also for the opportunity to address this august group. Have a great evening.
I'm going to ask Melanie McCardichian to come to the stage because she's going to introduce our last honoree. Melanie has been practicing law since 1999. She started in the district attorney's office, prosecuting thousands of cases, from misdemeanors all the way up to murder trials. In 2005, she decided that she's going to start her own firm and started a place where she's now in Pasadena. She's been interviewed by many various and credible news sources to provide her thoughts on high-profile cases and has had high-profile clients she's defended over the years, practicing primarily in criminal law defense, which of course will go unnamed. We're very honored that Melanie will be here to introduce our next honoree and thank Melanie for all her years of service and support of the Armenian Bar Association. Melanie?
Good evening, everyone. It is a great honor to be standing before you, presenting someone that I consider to be my family, the Honorable Ricardo Ocampo. Before I begin my presentation of this amazing human being, I would like to congratulate all the honorees of the Armenian Bar Association Judges Night 2023. This evening, I fondly recall the first ever Judges Night, which took place in October of 2012, 11 years ago, where we honored Judge Rotenberg for the first time. It was one of the first of many that my dear friend and colleague, then chairman of the Armenian Bar, Garo Gazarian, started and nurtured for many years for our legal community. I was there that evening, and I have been at every Judges Night ever since. I try to never miss Judges Night because it is such an amazing event, not only because of the great food that we offer, which is, let's be honest, the reason most people are here tonight, but also because we're very selective of the judges that we choose to honor. And this year's honorees are no exception. In fact, they are exceptional. I congratulate all of you, and on behalf of the Armenian Bar Association, thank you for accepting your award. When I was asked to present Judge Ocampo, I immediately experienced a slew of emotions. I felt honored. I felt proud. I felt excited. And most significantly, I felt nervous. I felt honored because I was asked to present someone who came to this country as an immigrant, who took advantage of the opportunities this great country of ours offers to those who put in the work and effort to succeed, who put himself through school and became an attorney, who worked in the
biggest and largest and best prosecutorial agency in the entire nation, as an advocate for the people of the state of California, prosecuting some of the most dangerous people in the entire world, who became a judge and soon proved to the bench that he was as invaluable as a judicial officer as he was as a prosecutor. Sorry, I skipped a page. Who within 3 years of being a judicial officer was appointed as an assistant supervising judge of the South Central District, and who within 5 years of that became the supervising judge of the South Central District, where he supervised 26 judges and commissioners in the criminal, civil, and family law courts, and who within 7 years of that position became the supervising judge of the criminal division, which is the position he currently holds, where he manages and oversees 250 judges of the largest criminal court in the United States. I also feel proud at the opportunity to present Judge Ocampo, because the person being honored is not only a person that I consider to be a dear friend, but also someone I consider to be family. I have known Judge Ocampo for 22 years, and even though I believe I know enough about him as a person to not need to speak to anyone else before I presented him, I did my due diligence and reached out to those who currently work with him to find out what they think of him as a judicial officer, and found out that what I think of him is shared by everyone who comes into contact with him. To give you an idea of how people describe him, and to prove to you that what I think of him is not biased, even though it clearly is, I want to share with you what some people said to me about him. The Chief Deputy Public Defender of the Los Angeles County, Justine Isak, had this to say about Judge Ocampo, and I quote, "As Chief Deputy Public Defender, I frequently engaged with supervising Judge Ocampo. I did not know him before he took on this role, but I'm pleased to work with him and his team now. First and foremost, he is a kind, thoughtful person. He focuses on communication and building relationships, which I personally think is integral to leadership. He makes himself readily available when justice stakeholders need to address something with the court, and he does more than listen. He hears and tries to find solutions which are workable for everyone, something very difficult in an adversarial system. I would also add that I really appreciate his humility. Leadership comes with great power and responsibility, and so a great leader is one who understands the power, accepts the responsibility, and retains his sense of self, sense of humor, and sense of service to those in their care. Judge Ocampo embodies this, and I appreciate him very much." End quote. I next received the following from the Chief Deputy District Attorney of the Los Angeles County, Sharon Wu, who had this to say about him, and I quote, "I have not worked with Judge Ocampo long, just since his selection as supervising judge for criminal, but I have nothing but wonderful things to say about him. Judge Ocampo is extremely collaborative in his approach to his work with the justice partners. He is a problem solver and solution-oriented. This openness and collaborative approach is refreshing, given most think of our system as adversarial. I don't think your bar association could have picked a better person to honor." End quote. Is it any wonder that I was proud to present my friend for this award? I also felt excited when I asked to present Judge Ocampo, My excitement came from knowing that I would be able to share with a great number of people how I feel about my dear friend Rick. Rick is someone I count on whenever I am in need. Rick is someone who is generous with his time. Rick is someone who makes you feel that he cares about you. Rick is someone who never, ever forgets your birthday. Rick is the perfect gentleman. He is an amazing husband to his beautiful wife, Kathleen, and the best father to his beautiful daughter, Megan, who are both here tonight. I can go on and on about him, but just the few qualities I have mentioned make him one of the best judicial officers that the Los Angeles County bench can have, because these are the qualities that the people he supervises get to experience on a daily basis. I next felt nervous about presenting Judge Ocampo. In order to understand why I felt nervous, other than speaking in front of more than 400 people, you need to know my history with Judge Ocampo. I met Rick Ocampo when he was assigned to the Compton Hardcore Gang Division, where he was prosecuting some of the most hardened criminals in the entire world for murder. I was a baby deputy district attorney assigned to the Compton branch of the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. As a baby DDA, I had the privilege of knowing Rick Ocampo and his colleagues in the Compton Hardcore Gang Division and being mentored by them as a young DA. I was able to watch them in trial. I was able to listen to their strategies, and I was blessed to be able to learn from them because they were the top prosecutors in the office at the time, assigned to one of the toughest assignments in the office. However, as much as I was allowed to sit in on their presentations, I never, ever allowed them to sit in on my trials as a DA. Part of it was because I didn't want them to be disappointed in case I messed up. And part of it was because their presence would make me more nervous, and I didn't need to be more nervous in front of a jury. And here I am, 22 years later, standing before more than 400 people, presenting my dear friend and mentor, and still nervous to speak in front of him. My nervousness doesn't come from having to speak, having to speak in front of people, because let's be honest, I do that every day. My nervousness comes from thinking that whatever I say, I may never be able to convey to you how well deserving Judge Ocampo is of this award. There is a story that I like to tell about the very first day that I met Ricardo Ocampo. It was my first day in the Compton branch of the District Attorney's Office. I was in the elevator going up to the 7th floor where the DA's office was located. I was bringing up a cart full of my boxes for my previous assignment. Unbeknownst to me, Rick was in the elevator with me. We had never met before. As the elevator doors opened, and when Rick saw that I was getting out on the same floor with him, he literally ran around me, got in front of me, in order to open the door to the district attorney's office and to help me unload my boxes. He did this even though he didn't know me. He did this because it is in his nature to help people. He did this because he is a gentleman. I believe this story describes the kind of human being Judge Ocampo is and gives us all a peace of mind to know that the Los Angeles Superior Court gets to enjoy these attributes that this man brings to the bench every single day. It is with the utmost pleasure and honor that I introduce to you the Honorable Ricardo Ocampo.
Thank you, Meline, for your kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, Pari Irgun. I tried that right. What, Melanie, it's hard to follow now with that. I'm not sure if Justine and Sharon will think the same maybe 6 months from now, but I sure hope so. What an honor it is to be recognized by the Armenian Bar Association. I was speaking to your chair today and saying how significant this really is. It's significant because this is a bar association that has the courage to stand up to hate and discrimination, both locally and internationally. Your mission to support human rights and the rule of law is clear. Your voice through your Rights Watch Committee to acknowledge the Armenian genocide is heard loud and clear. Your continuing efforts to stand side by side with the other communities in need, such as the Jewish community, are admirable. So thank you for this honor. I am also honored to be recognized alongside amazing judges. Judge Bruguera, and our current supervising judge of the Civil Division Judge Court. Both of you have dedicated yourselves tirelessly to serve this court. And Michelle, it is a privilege to lead with you. Presiding Judge Jessner, and now my friend to Assistant Presiding Judge Sergio Tapia. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be part of your leadership team in serving our wonderful bench and our constituents. Ladies and gentlemen, I am only a reflection of the people that surround me. I honor them with this. First, my partners in crime. Judge Verestegi, Judge Rosenberg, who's not here, and Judge Sang, I see out there. You are truly my partners in crime, and I would not want to do this with anyone else. Thank you. And we surround ourselves with these hard-working bench officers of the criminal division that work throughout the county, many who are here today. Your hard work is what makes us shine. Together, as we create new efficiencies, we question why we do things, why we do, or the way we do. We no longer accept the response because this is how we have always done it. These reasons are old and near the end. This is where we start again. The criminal division no longer divided by district lines. Respecting independent district cultures, we stand together as a division that is part of one court. We are one court with disciplines and districts working hand in hand. A court that looks to spread the wealth throughout. We are also surrounded by our justice partners, many who are here tonight. Public defenders, alternate public defenders, the private bar, the prosecution teams from the district attorney's office and the city attorney's office. Let us continue to work together in the spirit of Armenians. As William Saroyan said, it is simply in the nature of Armenians to study, to learn, to question, to speculate, to discover, to invent, to revise, to restore, to preserve, to make, and to give. Finally, this recognition and my work as a judge would not be possible without the love and support of my family. So to my wife Kathleen and my daughter Megan, thank you. Thank you for all you do and all you are. Again, to the Armenian Bar Association, thank you for this great honor. And to the criminal bench, this is for you. Thank you.
So everyone, that concludes the formal program for the evening. I wanted to thank Armen Hovhanessian, a name that hasn't been used here today. Armen Hovhanessian is one of the founding members of the organization, and he is the backbone to this event and this organization. The show you see happening here today is Armen Hovhanessian's idea. So thank you, Armen, for all your hard work and tireless effort of this organization.